become very good friends over a fairly short period of time.
Since Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman took power in 2017, he's been selling himself to the world as a reformer.
Are women equal to men?
Absolutely. We are all human beings, and there's no difference.
MBS, as he's known, proudly announced that Saudi women would be finally given the right to drive.
This is no longer an issue. Today, driving schools have been established and will open soon. In a few months, women will drive in Saudi Arabia. We are finally over that painful period that we cannot justify.
Manal al-Sharif was briefly jailed in 2011 for staging a protest calling for women to be allowed to drive. She was excited by the thought of real reform in her home country, but it didn't last.
So I was really hopeful, and I think it wasn't only me, it was a lot of Saudi youth. And when the arrest happened, I knew that's the moment that it is not what we thought. It was all a propaganda.
Just before the driving ban was lifted, the Crown Prince oversaw a brutal crackdown, arresting the Saudi women who had spent years campaigning for the right to drive. One of Manal's closest friends, Lujain al-Hathlul, was among those thrown in jail.
On March 15, 2018, Lujain was kidnapped from Abu Dhabi. She was handcuffed, blindfolded, flown on a private jet to Riyadh, where she was interrogated and placed under travel ban. In May, like a few weeks before the official date of lifting the ban, she was placed in a solitary confinement in a place that no one knows, even her own family didn't know where she was. There was like a wave of arrests amongst female activists. Aziz al-Yusuf, she's a grandmother. She's also a professor. Iman al-Nafjan, she's a professor and a blogger, a very famous blogger in English language. She's a mother of 4 kids. Her youngest is a toddler. And this woman who's been put in custody without allegation, without charges, without trial, without access to lawyers or her family or her kids. Who are these people doing this?
One of the reasons I think that MBS and Saudi authorities moved against these women is they didn't want them claiming credit for reforms. They did not want the image that women had campaigned, had generated international pressure, and that Saudi Arabia had capitulated to that pressure. They wanted it instead to look like MBS had decided to become a benevolent ruler and liberate his women.
The Saudi government also tried to pressure Manal al-Sharif to stay quiet about the lifting of the ban.
I received a phone call from the National Security asking me not to talk about it or tweet about it. And I was in Australia. That was really strange. How did they get my Australian number?
They encouraged her to visit Saudi Arabia, but she now believes they had sinister motives.
And they were really keen. They asked me to go to the embassy here. They were really keen to grant my son a visa. And apparently it was just luring me to go back to Saudi Arabia, to be put in jail. I barely escaped a very ill fate that is being served by my friends who fought for women's rights in my country.
So you believe that they were trying to lure you back,
yes.
Manal?
Yes.
And what do you think would happen if you'd gone back?
I would definitely be in jail. Definitely.
Human rights groups say the Saudi women activists have been tortured and abused in jail.
They said that they'd been subjected to electric shocks, flogging, and sexual harassment, and one of the relatives said that their detained relative could barely walk when they met them. Some of them had been hung from the ceiling. The Wall Street Journal also broke the story that Saud al-Qahtani, the same aide who was the one who conveyed MBS's orders to kill Jamal Khashoggi, was in the room when Lujain al-Hathlul was subjected to waterboarding, and that he himself threatened her with rape and threatened to murder her.